Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cup Check. And, we have a new face sitting across the aisle from me, longtime Cup Check veteran, Trent Moore, making his highly anticipated return to the podcast. Trent, how's it feel to be back?
Um, just like old times.
We're definitely happy to have you back. I'm hoping to see you around here a little more often. But the reason you clicked on today's video is we are going to be breaking down kind of the new MLB pipeline rankings and just kind of giving our reaction. Really good to have Trent here. He's pretty highly educated on the prospects as well. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, now that we're back and we're over here on the 2022 Top 100 prospect list, this is Trent's first ever time looking at it, and this is my second time, but it's going to be our first time really getting like an in-depth look at the list. So let's get into it.
All right. So the top 10, actually, I'll just click complete top 100 because that's what it is. Okay, here we go. Bobby Witt, number one. Fantasy purposes, I think that's a fair guess.
Yeah, I definitely do too. I mean, he's just
I
going to
would,
have like more stolen bases than all the other guys on the list,
yeah,
which is
I mean,
fantasy.
fantasy purposes, Bobby Witt. Adley's going to be down the list a little bit just because he's a catcher, but he's still a top 10 guy for me.
So just looking at the top 10, any like shockers in the top 10? I mean, Volpe coming in at 8. I know some people are pretty heavy on like the Nuelve over Volpe train.
No,
You're
think
not.
I think I'm surprised CJ Abrams is up there, to be
Yeah,
honest
I
with you.
mean, it does. I mean, I know this list isn't really like reflective upon what's been going on in the spring, but I don't know if you know this. Abrams has been tearing it up in
Has he?
spring training. I think he has like 2 or 3 homers and a really good average and a few stolen bases. So,
Yeah,
um,
I don't know. That's
quick
interesting.
look, number 6, Grayson Rodriguez,
I like that.
highest pitcher. Is he going to be fantasy relevant this year, or do you think he's got a little bit?
In our league, no, because you know.
Oh, because you're going to
But
have.
everywhere else, yeah, he'll be a fan. I think come July, I think they try and not rush, but kind of push him along at a heavier pace. I
Yeah.
think you're going to see the Orioles in the next year and a half really start to hold their own in the AL East, which is shocking since all the 4 other teams already do that. With the Blue Jays getting Chapman this offseason, and I don't know if you know this, but they're also in the mix to get Jose Ramirez. So there's some trade talent there.
For all those Cupcheck fans out there who don't know this, maybe Trent will like sell a membership about this, but for whatever reason, when a prospect gets pulled up, Trent knows about 20 minutes before Twitter, before Instagram, before anything. And you go to the waivers and Trent's added him like before it's even public knowledge that the player's up. So maybe one day we'll sucker Trent into doing a video about this, but who knows?
Maybe.
So Trent, another thing in the top 10 before we move on, Torkelson 4, Riley Green 5. A lot of people who do their own rankings put Green over Torque. I'm definitely on the Torque over Green side. How would you fare there?
I think I'll go with what I think I'll go with Torque over Green.
Or too much?
I just traded him in my dynasty league actually, but that doesn't necessarily mean I think he's going to be bad. I think he's 2 years away from being significantly fantasy relevant.
Yeah.
Just because of the Tigers situation. Just because of the Tigers situation. But his swing is sweet as a right-hander, so he's always been a high contact, high power guy. So I think he's going to learn from nobody better than Miguel Cabrera. So
Yeah, definitely. And another quick thing in the top 10, I'm seeing Gabriel Moreno. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Projected ETA 2022. So do you think he's going to have a shot at being fantasy relevant this year? Because
He's good, dude.
while the spotlight's on Adley, I actually think Moreno might have better tools in terms of just raw power.
Yeah. Adley all around, I think, is a better baseball player. But
Yeah.
fantasy-wise,
Yeah.
you could argue Gabriel's potential is more, but I still think, again, Adley's got just baseball IQ. He's an OBP guy. You know, he'll find his way to first. He'll find 20 and 25 home runs and just a high OBP. So
Exactly.
I like it. But
Alrighty, let's move on from the top 10. Kind of look at the next tier.
Okay. Some guys I like immediately jumping off the board is Nick Gonzalez. As a Cardinals fan, it's going to be hard to say this, but between him and O'Neal Cruz, I think the Pirates are going to have arguably one of the best middle infields coming up over the next 5 to 6 years. Not necessarily a hot take because they're both in the top 50, I think.
I agree. I might be maybe overplaying the height card on Nick Gonzalez, but I think he comps as like a slightly taller Altuve. Like he's probably not going to have like an extreme amount of power, but the hit tool is there, and he's going to kind of just barrel his way into a few homers every now and then. Another guy that I'm really high on, Corbin Carroll, the guy who has kind of been like injury riddled over the last like few seasons, but when he's been on the field, the dude's been insane. And just as far as fantasy purposes, I'm kind of thinking like maybe like a Starlin Marte with a little more power, maybe a little less speed. I don't know. It might be a little too much there for Carroll, but I definitely like the bat and the speed combo with Carroll.
So two things. I want to get 2 points, and then we can move on to the next. One thing that jumps off the board is Brennan Davis. He fell quite a bit for me, in terms of belief, I guess you could say. I think his strikeout rate was up there pretty high last year. Do you know anything about him? Have you seen him play at all? He's a big kid. He looks like he can just rock a ball, but I don't know, man. I mean, it's the case of Luis Robert. Will he find the ball or will he not?
Yeah, he's a guy I've kind of looked over. I think there's just more exciting people around him with like more proven track records, and also just being a Cardinal fan, like I'm not really going to go out of my way to cheer for the Cub. The other thing that kind of shocks me is how high they went with Marcelo, a guy who hasn't played yet. And also, I don't like Luciano at 13. I'm a big believer in the talent of Luciano, but I think that we're going to be seeing people in the 20 to 30 range who have actually like proven that they can play over Marco at this point.
Yeah, and before we move on, that was what I was going to say. And real quick, just want to touch base on my boy Shane Baz. I know he had that arthroscopic cleanup of his elbow, so that hurts because and I think some people in the Cup Check channel know that my breakout guy, and I was on this heavy, was Shane Baz. You know, if he's a rotation lock, then I see a top 15 finish as a pitcher. So, but
I mean, if Tampa lets him get the inning,
I think the question that a lot of people will ask is Meyer or Lawler for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I'm not even seeing Lawler. Maybe I'm just being blind. He's not in the top 21, I don't think. And there he is at 23. I guess the only thing that you can say about Lawler Meyer, Lawler is kind of coming off injury, and Meyer actually put up like a little bit of stats last year, but we had a pretty long bus ride the other day, and I just really wanted to dig in and kind of like form my own opinion on Lawler Meyer. And I honestly thought that Lawler just looked better in the videos. I do like the Marcelo lefty swing, but I also feel like I like every lefty swing. But when I watched Lawler, I saw a much more athletic player, someone who's a lot faster. He's definitely going to have a better glove, I would assume, in terms of like sticking at the shortstop position.
Yeah. And the thing is, 2 years from now, neither of those guys could be there. But the guy that my cursor's on, Khalil Watson, I heard a lot of good things about him too.
5'9".
Real quick though, we don't need to say anything because I'm looking at this board, and everybody, as I scroll up and I scroll down, there's only one name on here that I can highlight that I would say by head and shoulders, nope, quite literally has the best, biggest talent potential of anybody on this board. And that's O'Neal.
Now, I was hoping you were going to say Jordan Walker, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to overlook the height of O'Neal Cruz and just the exit velocities in general.
Height, speed, yeah, like he is a
we're
blossoming.
honestly looking at a more athletic Aaron Judge and O'Neal Cruz, and it's just going to be a question of like, is the average going to be high enough, and is the body going to be able to like handle the stress of an MLB season? Looking down the list a little bit, just past Cruz, I know you're a Brett Beatty guy. I don't know a whole lot about him. I am a big Josh Jung guy. I think
Really,
I think that Josh Jung can really play, and if you like really look into his like stats and everything, he's performed at every level. The thing is though, he's getting older and he just got injured, so maybe a guy to look for like towards the end of your fantasy season as someone who might get called up and be able to produce for you like down the stretch of the fantasy season.
Yeah, I could see that, but I would take Jordan Walker over either of those two guys.
Of course,
no Cardinal bias. I think Walker he's been receiving rave reviews from scouts all over. I mean, every channel has been like Jordan Walker. So there's obviously merit and there's smoke where there's fire. So it's one of those things where I think he's legit, which is nice to see as a Cardinals fan, right? So
yeah, I mean, the Cardinals drafted him probably expecting just a pretty powerful bat and an athletic kid, but I don't think that they expected the hit tool that was shown at both levels. Actually, I think he showed up at rookie ball or A ball, whatever, and did so good that they were just like, you know what, screw this. We're going to move him up to high A and let him fail. And he didn't fail. Like he just continued to rake and kind of, you know, testing those waters as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. That's pretty impressive. And I don't think we've seen that since Vlad Jr.
You know, I'm looking at this board and I see the bottom two guys on every fantasy thing. They're not going to be relevant for years. So, but I really like Zach Veen. You know that. Hassel, I don't really know. I'm honestly going to say hot take. I don't think he ever develops into anything. So we should clip this and look at it 3 years from now. But
hopefully this doesn't age like your Corbin Burns take. But I do kind of tend to agree with you. I think that the height of Zach Veen, along with I mean, it's just going to breed like more power potential than Hassel, I'm expecting. And, you know, playing at Coors is a big plus as well. Looking at 33, like really briefly, I kind of agree with the ranking of Gorman. I'm not one of those extremists who like throw him in my top 20. I think the kid can play, and I think he's ready to at least try the MLB and see how he does. But yeah, I think there's a lot more time to
the second base job by May. And I think you honestly see 20 something home runs for him at second base, which is going to be a really big fantasy development, right? So that's huge
Zach Veen guys. If you're in a deep dynasty league, definitely if you have him already, make sure you value him because he's worth it.
You know, overall, I mean, the thing is, with respect to just the game of baseball, I think this list is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, everybody can nitpick, but so far the top 30, top 40. Oh, here's my guy, Cavalli. I think
people have been calling him the next Nolan Ryan. Like that's a pretty steep comparison.
Him?
Yeah, Cade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of worried that he just, again, we talked about this earlier. He reminds me of Strasburg.
Yeah.
As far as just like potential. I mean, I think that I don't remember what it was specifically, so don't quote me on this, but he had something to do with like very, very little innings prior to college or prior to pro ball, maybe. And so it's like the question of the arm health, right? And so, but he looks dirty. He's nasty on the mound. So
yeah,
I like him.
Let's stop at the top 50 if you want to scroll down like just a little bit more, maybe do a two-part series looking at both the top 50 and the top 51 through 100. Tough one for Royce Lewis. I mean, talk about an organization who might not believe in their prize prospects anymore, going out and signing Correa. I mean, pretty good move for the Twins, but that's got to question their value for Royce Lewis going forward and like what they, I mean, how much they really believe in his development.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it sucks, man. You know, I've been through those injuries. You've been through some similar ones. Like it's just brutal and it's diminishing on your presence. So, yeah, that is tough. But you know, the thing is, I think he'll bounce back, and I think that's one of those guys who buy low, because at the end of the day, he was at one point a top 10 prospect for a reason. So why not? You know. But moving on to this though, I think the real question here is 42 and 43. I mean, they're practically identical in regards to makeup. I like Lodolo's stuff a lot more.
I do too.
However, he plays at Great American Ballpark.
That's true.
On a shit red team. So, like, I mean, pardon my French here on the podcast, but that is just what they've done with that team is beyond belief. So
yeah, it's gonna be tough.
You know better than everybody. I was higher on him a couple months ago, and I'm really starting to look at it and saying, damn, he's gonna come up and have to really try. So
yeah. Do you want to touch on one more player, and I'll pick one as well, and then we'll end the video there?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Let me go first. All right. 38. Are you very familiar with Elvis?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. I don't know much about him, but I've watched a couple clips just because I was reviewing the Blue Jays prospects, and
yeah, I mean,
I mean, they just keep producing them, man. They got Moreno up there. They got Martinez.
Yeah. Breaking it down. 38, Elvis Martinez. This is a guy who has really shocked me. You know, I'm a big like card market guy, and I always kind of like looked over his stuff because I'm just like, no way the Blue Jays have another shortstop coming up from the system with Bichette. But this dude just hit like a 400-something foot homer with like 110 exit velo off of, I want to say it was Aaron Nola. Like, here, move our
60 grade power, man. And he's got, I think they try and push him on the right side of the second base.
Yeah,
his stats real fast.
Which
28 home runs in 98 games. And I know that's going to be in high A. High A is a big. Yeah, he didn't even do it. Okay, yeah, no, he didn't even do all that great in high A. But the thing is, high A is a very volatile offensive league. And
which is what made Jordan Walker's ascension so impressive last year as well, might I add. But I mean, the fact that Elvis he's getting in bats already this spring shows that Toronto likes him a lot. And he hit an absolute tank against Aaron Nola. Like, that is not something that's easy to do for a 20-year-old.
That's a guy who got Cy Young votes a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's episode on breaking down the top 50 players, ending it there on Elvis Martinez. But yeah, so that was just kind of our breakdown, who we liked, what we liked on the list. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to blow this one up so Trent comes back for another one. And thank you guys for watching.